The screen opens with the soft sound of Christmas music playing at the airport. But the camera slowly zooms in on a man walking with heavy footsteps, his face tight, distant, and cold. He pushes past a group taking Christmas selfies, flinches at a child dressed as an elf, and avoids every decoration as if each one personally offends him. The narrator's voice enters softly but intensely. He boarded the flight with anger in his eyes, and a heart colder than December snow. He hated Christmas, every light, every song, every memory, but he had no idea that this ordinary flight, would change everything he believed about the world. The camera cuts to a glimpse of him staring out the window, jaw clenched. The reflection of a Christmas tree twinkles behind him, but he refuses to look. A little boy waves at him from across the boarding gate. He doesn't wave back. As he hands over his boarding pass, the gentle sound of Christmas bells rings in the background. And the narrator whispers, by the end of this journey, even he wouldn't recognize the man he used to be. As the story gently transitions into the intro, the narrator begins unfolding the world around him. The man's name is Michael, mid-40s, sharp suit, expensive luggage, but a soul weighed down by something invisible. The airport is full of warmth, families reuniting, children excitedly holding gifts, travelers wearing Santa hats. It is Christmas Eve, the busiest and happiest day for many, but not for him. Every smile irritates him. Every festive announcement feels like a wound reopening. He moves through the airport like a shadow passing through, light and touched, unmoved, unwilling. Meanwhile, on the same flight, a flight attendant named Emma checks her equipment with a bright smile. She hums a Christmas tune as she places tiny festive ornaments in the galley. For her, Christmas is a day of kindness, warmth, and small miracles. She has no idea she is about to meet someone who has shut the door to all of that. Near the boarding line stands a 7-year-old boy, Leo, holding a backpack tightly. He is traveling alone to see his grandmother for Christmas. His eyes are full of excitement and innocence, the exact opposite of Michael's empty stare. When Leo spots Michael again, he smiles as if sensing something familiar, even though Michael looks away. 3 completely different souls, 3 different worlds, all stepping onto the same aircraft. The narrator softly sets the tone. On Flight 728, fate placed these 3 strangers together. Not by chance, but by design. Because sometimes, the sky becomes the only place where broken hearts learn to breathe again. The announcement echoed through the crowded airport. Flight 728 now boarding. Christmas lights sparkled across the terminal, glowing in warm colors, but Michael barely noticed them. He walked with a stiff, impatient stride, his jaw clenched, his eyes fixed straight ahead. A child in a Santa hat ran past him, laughing. A couple took a selfie in front of a giant Christmas tree. Michael moved around them like they were obstacles, not people. He hated this time of year, the songs, the lights, the fake cheer. Every Merry Christmas felt like a slap. As he reached the gate, a little boy holding a stuffed reindeer smiled at him, as if expecting him to smile back. Michael only looked away. The scanner beeped as he handed over his boarding pass. "Merry Christmas, sir," the gate agent said gently. Michael pretended not to hear her and walked down the jet bridge, the distant sound of carols following him like an echo. In his mind, Christmas wasn't about joy. It was the day everything in his life went dark. And tonight, on this flight, he planned to do what he always did. Survive the hours, land, and keep pretending he didn't feel anything at all. Inside, the play in the cabin felt like a small, floating world decorated for Christmas. Tiny wreaths hung near the galley, soft lights framed the overhead bins, and a quiet instrumental carol played during boarding. Emma, the flight attendant, moved through the aisle with practiced grace, her smile natural, not forced. She loved working Christmas Eve flights. She believed that in the sky, people were somehow kinder to each other. But as Michael entered, she sensed something different. He didn't look around, didn't respond to her greeting. "Good evening, sir. Welcome aboard," she said warmly. Michael gave a slight nod, eyes already searching for his seat. He sat down heavily in 14B, placed his briefcase under the seat, and pulled out his phone, desperate for distraction. A few rows away, Leo, the little boy with the reindeer, clutched his backpack and boarding pass. Traveling alone made him a bit nervous, but also excited. He was going to his grandmother's house for Christmas. When Emma helped him stow his things, he whispered, "Do you think it will snow when we land?" She smiled. "Maybe. Christmas is full of surprises." As Leo was seated in 14A, right next to Michael, he glanced at the man's stern face and wondered why he looked so sad on such a happy night. The plane took off smoothly, engines roaring softly as city lights faded beneath a layer of cloud. Inside the cabin, seatbelt signs dinged off, and people settled in. Some watched movies, some slept, some talked quietly. Michael, however, stared blankly at the seat back in front of him, earbuds in, but no music playing. He just wanted the hours to pass. Leo shifted nervously in his seat, peeking over the armrest at Michael. Hi, the boy said softly. Michael glanced at him, uninterested. Hi, I'm Leo, the boy continued, holding his reindeer. Are you going somewhere for Christmas? Michael sighed. Just traveling for work, he muttered. I don't celebrate Christmas. His tone made it clear the conversation was over. Leo's eyes dropped, but something caught his attention, a watch on Michael's wrist. Simple, silver, slightly scratched. My dad had that same watch, Leo whispered. He used to tap it when he was thinking. Michael's hand froze on the armrest. He felt a small jolt inside, like someone had opened a door he'd nailed shut. Before he could respond, the captain's voice came on, warning of light turbulence. The plane shook gently, and Leo instinctively grabbed the armrest between them, his small fingers brushing against Michael's hand. For a second, Michael almost pulled away, but he didn't. The turbulence eased, but something in Michael's chest did not. Emma walked down the aisle, checking passengers. When she reached their row, she noticed Leo's pale face and Michael's rigid posture. You okay here? She asked gently. Leo nodded. Yeah, just a little scared. Emma looked at Michael, then sat on the armrest of the empty aisle seat for a moment. It's normal to feel nervous, she said. Even grown-ups get scared sometimes. Michael gave a quiet snort. I'm fine. Her eyes lingered on him. There was a heaviness around him that didn't match his expensive suit. After a moment, she said softly, You really don't like Christmas, do you? He looked at her, irritation flickering. What gave it away? The decorations or the music? She held his gaze, not offended. Sometimes people who hate Christmas once loved it more than anyone. The words hit him harder than he expected. He swallowed, looking at the tray table. Silence stretched between them. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. 5 years ago, Christmas Eve, car accident. My wife and son were driving to meet me. His throat tightened. They never made it. Emma's eyes softened, her hand resting lightly on the seat back. Leo listened quietly, clutching his reindeer. Emma whispered, I'm so sorry. Michael looked at the aisle, eyes glistening. Since then, Christmas is just a reminder that some people get miracles, and some don't. Time passed in a hush after that. The cabin lights dimmed slightly, casting a warm glow. Michael leaned back, drained by the confession he rarely allowed himself to make. Emma moved on to serve other passengers, but kept glancing back, worried about him. Leo quietly opened his backpack and took out a small notebook and a pack of crayons. He looked from the blank page to Michael, then began to draw, his little hand moving with care. A few minutes later he tapped Michael's arm gently. Excuse me. Michael looked over, brow furrowing. Leo held out a folded paper. I made this for you. Hesitating, Michael took it. When he unfolded the drawing, his breath caught. It was a picture of an airplane flying through the night sky, stars and snowflakes all around it. In one window, a man with sad eyes sat next to a little boy holding a reindeer. Above them, in a child's handwriting, were the words, No one deserves to be alone on Christmas. Michael stared at it, his vision blurring. Well, would you draw this for me? He asked, voice unsteady. Leo shrugged softly. Because you look like you miss someone. My dad is in heaven too, but my mum says they still want us to be happy. The words slipped past every wall Michael had built. For the first time in years, he didn't fight the tears that began to fall. Emma noticed Michael wiping his eyes, and quietly approached. Leo showed her the drawing, and her heart squeezed at the simple, powerful message. When she saw Michael struggling to hold himself together, she had an idea. She leaned closer and whispered, Would you trust us? Just for a moment. He frowned, confused, but didn't object. Emma walked to the front galley and spoke softly to her fellow crew members. The captain dimmed the cabin lights a little more, leaving a gentle, golden glow. Emma made a small announcement over the intercom, her voice calm and warm. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is Christmas Eve. Up here in the sky, many of us are far from home and the people we love. So, just for a moment, we'd like to share a small tradition to remember those we miss, and to be grateful for those still around us. Passengers looked up from screens and books, curiosity in their eyes. Emma and another flight attendant walked down the aisle, handing out tiny, flameless LED candles. When she reached Michael and Leo, she gently placed one on their shared armrest. "This light," she said softly, "is for the people you love who are no longer here. But still, with you." The hum of the engines and the soft rustle of passengers became a background choir as several people held up their little candles. The cabin felt different, quieter, softer, like a floating chapel in the sky. As the candles glowed, someone in the back began humming Silent Night, almost shyly at first. Then another voice joined, then another. Soon, the entire cabin was filled with a gentle, trembling chorus. Michael stared at the small light flickering in his hand. Memories flooded his mind, his son laughing as they decorated a tree, his wife humming this same carol in the kitchen. For years he'd tried to bury these images, afraid that remembering would break him forever. But now, as voices wrapped around him like a warm blanket, the pain felt different, not gone, but shared. Suddenly, the plane jolted. Strong turbulence shook the cabin, causing gasps and a few cries. The captain's voice came over the speaker, urging everyone to fasten their seatbelts. Leo's hands shot out, trembling, and grabbed Michael's arm. This time, Michael reacted without hesitation. He wrapped his arm around Leo's shoulders, holding him close as the plane rocked. "It's okay," he whispered, surprising even himself. "I've got you. We're okay." Leo buried his face against his side. In that moment, something shifted inside Michael. For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was protecting someone, comforting someone. When the turbulence finally eased and the seatbelt sign chimed off, Leo looked up at him with wide, grateful eyes. "You're like a dad," he whispered. "You made me feel safe." Those words didn't shatter Michael. They healed a part of him he thought was dead.
As the candles glowed, someone in the back began humming Silent Night, almost shyly at first. Then another voice joined, then another. Soon the entire cabin was filled with the gentle, trembling chorus. Michael stared at the small light flickering in his hand. Memories flooded his mind. His son laughing as they decorated a tree. His wife humming this same carol in the kitchen. For years he'd tried to bury these images, afraid that remembering would break him forever. But now, as voices wrapped around him like a warm blanket, the pain felt different. Not gone, but shared. Suddenly, the plane jolted. Strong turbulence shook the cabin, causing gasps and a few cries. The captain's voice came over the speaker, urging everyone to fasten their seat belts. Leo's hand shot out, trembling, and grabbed Michael's arm. This time, Michael reacted without hesitation. He wrapped his arm around Leo's shoulders, holding him close as the plane rocked. "It's okay," he whispered, surprising even himself. "I've got you. We're okay." Leo buried his face against his side. In that moment, something shifted inside Michael. For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was protecting someone, comforting someone. When the turbulence finally eased and the seatbelt sign chimed off, Leo looked up at him with wide, grateful eyes. "You're like a dad," he whispered. "You made me feel safe." Those words didn't shatter Michael. They healed a part of him he thought was dead. As the plane began its descent, the captain announced they would be landing shortly. Below the clouds, the city glowed with countless lights, some of them twinkling in red and green. Michael looked out the window, the reflection of the tiny candle still shimmering faintly beside him. He felt different, lighter, but in a way that made his chest ache. When the wheels touched down and the plane rolled to a stop, passengers unbuckled seatbelts and reached for bags. The cabin buzzed with the soft chaos of arrival. Leo stood up on his seat and hugged Michael tightly around the neck. "Thank you," he said. "This was the best Christmas flight ever." Michael's voice broke. "No, kid, thank you." Emma came by with Leo's small backpack and unaccompanied minor tag. Before leaving, she placed a gentle hand on Michael's shoulder. "You did something brave tonight. You let yourself feel again." He managed a small, genuine smile, the first in a long time. In the terminal, after saying goodbye, Michael didn't rush out. Instead, he wandered to a small charity stand collecting toys for children. He picked up a stuffed toy, similar to the one his son once loved, and placed it in the donation bin. "Merry Christmas," he whispered, not sure if he was speaking to his family in heaven, to Leo, or to himself. As he stepped out of the cold night air, the world looked the same, but inside, something had changed. For the first time in 5 years, Christmas didn't feel like the end of his story. It felt like the beginning of a new chapter.